Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Buildings and Grounds Committee meeting for July the 14th, 2026. We'll call the meeting to order. We have an agenda before us. Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda? All right, seeing none, we'll move forward. Item A, under old business, the committee will discuss awarding a contract to Chemung Contracting to rebuild the parking lot and entrances to Route 15 at the Carver Center. Mr. Howard.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, item 1, please. County advertised the Carver Center entrance and parking lot improvement project for bids. We received 5 bids. The scope of work here for the project includes the 3 entrances to the Carver Center. What you have before you is a picture of the. Is not on.
This is just a single slide.
The entrances there, you see 3 entrances. There's one on the top left, which is the southern entrance, the center entrance, and the northern entrance. The project is to improve the northern entrance, widen it, bring it up to grade so you can enter and exit to the north. To close the center entrance, that is the one that has the least amount of sight distance, believe it or not. And that's the one that VDOT and staff have recommended that we close. And then to shift the southern entrance a little bit south so you can see over the hill on 15 going south. So that's the scope of work for the project. We got 5 bids for it. And is there a second page?
Yeah, I believe there was when I looked at it this morning.
Okay.
I think there is.
There's
Yeah, there's a little more detail.
Yeah, just tab the next page if the remote isn't working.
Oh, there we go.
Thank you.
The pointer's not working, but the top page is the southern entrance shifted farther to the south, as you can see. The lower portion shows the closed center entrance and the improved widened northern entrance. And that would also include rebuilding the existing parking lot and repaving in front of the old building. We got 5 bids. Chemung Contracting was the lowest bid at $411,500. The highest bid was $779,000. We have $264,680 in the CIP for this project. And that was expanded with the committee's direction on how to change the entrances. That's why we're over budget. But we do have funds remaining in the Carver main building roof replacement project. That was completed last year with a combination of federal funds and county funds, and that project came in under budget. So there's $216,516 in that budget that could be transferred to cover the balance of the parking lot project. If you'd like to proceed. If you'd like to proceed, I recommend 2 motions. One, to award the contract to Chemung Contracting Corp. And the second one would be for the budget transfer from the roof replacement project that's complete to the parking lot project. I'm happy to answer any questions.
All right, thank you, Mr. Howard. Any questions or comments from the committee?
A couple questions, Mr. Howard. So the north entrance coming in, is that parking lot or that access all going to be paved all the way over to the center part as well?
Yes, everything will be paved that you see hatched on the plan will be both the entrance, the entire parking lot will be rebuilt, and it'll be lined, the entrance will be lined up with the road in front of the school.
And that southern entrance, are they going to be able to get it far enough down the hill to be able, if you're going south, there's another property owner there.
Yes.
So are we going to be able to get, has VDOT already looked at that and said that was reasonable? Because
Yes.
that is a true blind.
The entrance you see there is about 50 feet farther south, and that does take off a little piece of the bank that you see right there as you're coming out, and that is all on the county property.
Okay.
So you can see over the hill when you come out if you want to
That'll
go
be
left.
great, because that's one of the areas that a lot of people in that area have had problems with, because when you come down the preceding hill, you go down a little dip, and then you're coming right up there where Miss Finley's house used to be, and that's that blind.
Yep.
And there's been several accidents there.
It's also right now, as you approach 15, as you're leaving the parking lot, you're much lower than the roadway. So all these entrances raise you up to the level of the roadway, which will also improve your sight distance as well.
Great. That'll be nice. When were these bids sent out and all? Because I don't remember this.
It's advertised in May and we received them June 24th.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir, Mr. Underwood.
is that still a VDOT road in front of the building?
It is a relic road from when it was a school. They do not, it doesn't meet any of the qualifications for them to continue to own it. We'd asked them early on if they would help improve it or pave it or do anything with it, and they said no. They wanted, it didn't qualify to be in the system, and they wanted to take it out.
What's the process for VDOT to just abandon stuff in the county?
This, I'm not sure the process for a regular state road or this for that matter, but when this was, if it was an operating school, they would continue to operate and maintain the bus loop only, not the parking lot or the two entrances. They would consider paving the loop, but that would be it.
Okay, I'm just wondering for steps forward, is there some process by which, if it is currently owned by the state of Virginia, I mean, either if we're improving it, either we would own it, right? Or if they're improving it, they would own it. I'm just wondering how we sort this out.
We actually own the road and the, I don't know if you call it right, we own the property. It has a very high number designation. It's one of the ones that they use for schools, but they don't actually own the loop.
Okay, they just have it in their system but don't maintain it?
They maintained it when it was a school, they said, but not when it stopped being a school, they quit maintaining it.
All right. Other questions from the committee? Mr. Howard, just to clarify, please, the southern entrance work, that's going to improve, I'm sorry, that's going to improve the sight line for people who are traveling north so that they can see if there's traffic coming out of Carver. And it also helps people coming out of Carver that they can see traffic coming northbound, correct?
Yes, the southern entrance improves the sight distance both north and south.
Okay, terrific. All right. Okay, if we have no further questions, the chair will entertain from the committee a motion. I guess it's two motions,
Two
correct,
motions,
Mr.
one to award the
Howard?
contract.
To award the contract. Actually, it's to refer to the full board for consideration to award the contract and also to approve the budget transfer.
I'd like to move to make that motion to may have this proceed to the board with a recommendation to approve the award of the contract to Chewing.
All right, so we have, I'm sorry, is there a second? All right, we have one motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, and there's another motion, Supervisor Brown.
Yes, if we could also make a recommendation to approve, to move to the board as a recommendation of approval for the transfer of the funds.
All right, is there a second? All right, any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. And none opposed? And the motion's passed. Thank you, Mr. Howard. On to item B, the committee will discuss awarding a contract to Colossal Contractors Incorporated to complete repairs to the exterior of 118 West Davis Street and 151 North Main Street.
Mr. Chairman, we advertised a bid to do exterior repairs to both buildings. Both of the work scopes were similar, so we combined them. That is to replace the gutters. Can you hit the next page? To replace the gutters on both buildings, to replace some of the trim and fascia behind those gutters. You can go to the next page. There's an example of, that's the Giles Miller building that you see right there. There's trim underneath the gutters, and the gutters themselves are failing on that building. And you also see the dormers there that are over top of the slate roof. So it would include replacing the gutters, the fascia and the trim, and cleaning, scraping and painting and fixing the dormers. It would also include, on the next page, you can see the building at 118 West Davis Street, which also, one more, includes gutter replacement, fascia and trim work, brick pointing on the top of the old chimney that's there. We have water coming down in through the chimney. And it would also include repainting the trim on the upper story of the building and drainage improvements that are between us and the neighbor that are allowing water to get into the basement. So we included both of those projects as one bid. We received 3 bids, and Colossal Contractors was a low bid at $239,060 plus the add alternate of $18,800 to fix the drainage between us and the adjacent building. We have $229,965 in the budget, which is short about $53,681. You could fund that from the general fund. The other options are to delay the project for a year or separate the 2 projects and bid one of them. If we do just one project, I would recommend 118 West Davis Street first, and then come back and do the Giles Miller next year or when funding's available. Combining the 2 projects gets you the best price because it's all high work. It's all within the town. It's all permitted. It's all basically the same work. But those are the 3 options that we have right now. You either cancel the bid and rebid it as one, fund the balance from the general fund, or delay both projects until next fiscal year.
All right, thank you, sir. Questions from the committee or a motion?
Mr. Howard, one, I believe is the Giles Miller, where the registrar and the commissioner and treasurer's office is. Does that include like the front door?
No.
Because if you look, have you looked at that recently? One door is bubbling because of, I guess, I don't know, when
Sun
they
on it.
painted it. The other door is really chipping and looks horrible for people going into that. How do we fix that too? I mean, do we have staff that does that, or for like general maintenance like that, or is that something you have to bid each project?
That's more than we could normally do. We've looked at doing that. We've talked to a couple contractors. It's in the historic district, so we'd have to replace the whole wooden door assembly on the whole front door on there. They're willing to do that. That's about $30,000, $35,000 is what they've been telling us to budget for that. That's something we could do in lieu of these repairs if we don't do that this year, but that's roughly what that would cost. We've had that coming up. It's in the to-do list.
I'm just thinking sanding and painting.
We can sand and paint it. We've done that before, and that's what we keep getting, but we can try it again.
Yeah, it looks rough. I mean, a lot of the molding and all that is just like what's there, but being on Main Street, it's a little bit shocking when you actually pay attention and look at it.
Sure, we can do that.
And then, and one more question too, since we're talking about doing some of these housekeeping items, the courthouse, like the monument and the steps and the railings, I was out there the other day, and have we ever cleaned any of that? I mean, just.
The monument?
Yeah. With all of the,
It was probably 15 years ago. The Confederate monument.
yeah. Is that something that we can do in-house
We
as
can do that.
well?
Yep.
Yeah, that was looking pretty shabby.
We can clean it.
That
I
was-
think with the courthouse renovation plan coming up, that it's definitely something that we need to find a way to spruce that up.
Well, I think that's
With all
what
the rest of the work
motivated
going on there.
some
Yeah.
extra looking. And I remember even last year being out there and looking and thinking, wow. But I think it's just like that algicide stuff and
Yeah.
cleaning it up. That would be good.
We can clean that
All
up.
right.
All right.
Thank you.
It appears to me that the best course of action may be to move forward, get all of this, both of these projects done at once and do the budget transfer. Is the committee okay with that approach?
Additional 50?
Yes. But we can always break it up, as Mr. Howard said.
And you're taking that 53 from your budget, from within your budget, and just transferring it over?
No, it would come from the county general
The
fund.
county general
General
fund?
fund,
Okay.
yes.
I just felt like instead of delaying another year and things get worse and it's going to cost more in the long run, I think it's a better use of our budget and money to try to get that done now. But that's just my opinion.
I would agree with that. But the financial disposition of the county funds is not as healthy as I'd like. But then 50 grand is not the end of the world either.
Right.
What do you think, Supervisor Brown?
I think I would recommend sending it to the board without a recommendation and let all the members weigh in and see what their thoughts are.
That would be, I would agree with that.
All right. Would you like to make that a motion?
Yes. We'll send this forward to the board
I think
without
after
a
making a form of a motion.
form of a motion. I'll move to make that motion to send it to the board without a recommendation to evaluate everybody's opinion on how to transfer.
And that would be for the entire
project.
The entire project. All right. Is there a second?
Second.
All right. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. None opposed. The motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Howard. All right. Next up under new business. Item A, Andrew Hardy will present a plan for the use of CIP funds for the Culpeper Sportsplex. Mr. Hardy.
Yes, sir.
Try it, if it doesn't work, then just let me know. and I'll fix your switch.
I have 3 copies if you guys don't mind sharing. It kind of goes with the presentation itself because the specs, if you look let's take a look and see if this works. And it should just be the, I believe it's the first attachment. There we go. Let's see.
Yeah, so
Yep, we're solid and good to go. Or maybe. Homepage. All right, regardless. So real quick, guys, Chairman Lee, members of the committee, this was a project that was originally slated to be funded in the CIP for FY26. But when we rolled over to January 1, we tabled it and put it recently come to the department's attention that backstops and fencing are continuing to be a problem at the Culpeper Sports Complex. As you all know, public safety is a critical element of Parks and Recreation. And within this plan, it outlines a process to replace the backstop and the fencing on the 7 ball fields at the Culpeper Sports Complex. The vendors specifically for this project include Long Fencing, the Parks and Rec Department, Designs Unlimited, which was the crafter of the specs that are within your possession there, and Samuel James Construction. The property area in question is into the lower right on the presentation, fields 10 through 16. They include 2 softball fields, field 10 and 11, then the major fields 12 through 15, and a junior and senior field on field 16. Now, for those that have been to the complex, its unique design provides some challenges when you're talking about public safety. Primarily, it's the fact that fields 13, 14, and 16 have a higher elevation than 12, 15, 11, and 10. So that prompts a scenario by which foul balls can shoot over first and third base lines and into onlooking spectators and other attendees of the property. Right now, the fence 2, it came with the original design of the park in 2006, 2007. So beyond the height requirements, we're also dealing with end of the life where there's buckling and bowing of the fence, tension lines at the base of the fence are popping, and it's creating some play challenges inside the grounds as well. Beyond the fencing, there's also funds, and you'll see it on future pages at the department when the fences are down. We'd like to do some site work by coming in there and grading the ball fields, because after 20 years of additional material being put on it, be it turfus and other items, the grade is slightly askew, which tends to hold water and other elements that impact play. Also, based on the usage and the growth within Culpeper County and the usage of our fields, the one desire is to take the upper ball fields, which is 12, 13, 14, and 15, and convert them from grass infield to skinned infields. This would allow multi-use play, whether you're doing softball and or baseball. It's a common practice that nationwide people utilize skinned infields, and it would give us the flexibility rather than having 4 baseball fields and 2 softball fields. We would in total have 6 fields, which could be utilized for softball and or baseball activities. As far as the designs, and I'll walk through these relatively quickly, we'll start with field 16. The current backstop height is 18 feet. With the design, it would elevate it to 22 feet and 134 linear feet. Now, within that design, if you notice on the specs I provided you, that will provide that height wrapping from dugout to dugout, not leaving open dugouts for foul balls to loop and to fall into. In addition, with the height in front of the dugouts, we can actually attach sunshades. For anybody out there for spring ball or summer tournaments, the heat can be quite daunting, where this will provide shade and cover for our young athletes and older athletes. We'll carry it down to then it would drop to for this field specifically, a 6-foot first and third base foul lines carrying 316 linear feet, ultimately wrapping to also a 6-foot on the outside perimeter fence as well. Within this design too, it will be all black vinyl coated chain link fence. So we'll have an issue where we're not hopefully be dealing with rust and other elements down the road. For the softball fields, that 22-foot backstop again will be elevated up from the 18. It will carry 80 linear feet going from dugout to dugout and then drop to 12 feet above the dugouts, which again will allow us the opportunity to put that shade structure dropping to the backside of the dugout. Then we'll drop to 4 feet going down the first and third baselines. And again, the primary use for that is to improve spectator experience with it, that you're not going to be looking through the fence. And Lou Ray and both the new sports complex at Fauquier Central drop it to 4 feet as well. So this is a standard that adjacent complexes are using. And again, with the height of the fence, it'll give us the opportunity to put the sunshade. Same scenario for 12 through 15, 22-foot backstop, 12 foot in front of the dugout faces, dropping to 4 foot for the first and third base lines. And again, all fields will be uniform with the black vinyl coated chain link fence. As far as the planning and the development of the project, the total cost for the backstop fencing, which includes installation and removal, the quote from Long Fencing came in at $581,557. We're estimating site work costs of $87,500, and with a 2.5% contingency of $16,726, the total project cost would be $685,783. Now, within this, what we're hoping that the committee and the board would consider is transferring of funds to support this project. Currently, we have $207,000 in the sports complex CIP line and $507,946.03 in the Lynn Park line. To do this project, we would request $478,783 be transferred from the Lynn Park CIP to the sports complex CIP line to execute this project. As far as the construction timeline, if approved, we would look to target it this winter so that it would be up and operational for spring ball activities. 2 weeks is estimated time frame for removing the existing fencing and backstop, and the target date we would look at starting the beginning of November, carrying us roughly to about November the 20th. 3 weeks for the site improvements, so grading and any type of material addition, starting that November 30th, running through December 11th. And then 4 weeks ultimately to do the install of the fencing and the backstops, which would start the beginning of December and run through basically the first of the year in 2007. For the contracts and the work itself, we would be looking at riding the Arlington County contract for Long Fence, and then County Culpeper's current contract for Samuel L. James, which was the same gentleman that did the parking lot at the sports complex. And if funds would permit, we would be looking at purchasing portable pitching mounds, new magnetic bases, pitching rubbers, and potentially bleachers. And if you've been out there, they definitely need some TLC as well. So for project recap, again, safety and security are a primary function of Parks and Rec, and anybody that's happened to be at the sports complex can see when they're running all 7 fields at one time, it does create some challenges with the current layout and the existing height of the fencing. The funding sources are available with $478,783 in Lynn and $207 in the sports complex CIP line. And then the construction date would be November 26th through January 2027. For context, this project was presented to the Parks and Rec Advisory Committee in June, as well as the request for the transfer of funds and priority, and they approved that at the 16th meeting. So I'll take any questions that you all may have.
Andrew, just 2 points of context if you could provide for the committee. One, why are the Len Park funds not needed? And 2, where that money's coming from? And then 2, why you think it's a better approach to use the ride-along contract and not go to RFP for the project?
Absolutely. So the Lynn Park funds were originally earmarked for permanent restroom facilities at Lynn Park. And after review and drain field and construction costs that we received from the Mountain Run Lake Park restroom projects, the funds existing in that count can't support that particular project. So we're going to have to come back through the process and request additional funds through the county. As far as riding Arlington's contract, they did the bid process as early as March of 2025. So when they went out for bid, it was just over 16 months ago. So it is relevant that it's not a long-standing out contract, and we feel that the price point that came back from that is a practice that we've done similarly, whether it was our athletic field lighting and other construction services we've done.
All right, thank you, Mr. Hardy. Questions or comments from the committee?
The sunscreens,
Yes, sir.
I'm assuming that they're removable
Yes,
for
sir.
winter.
Yes, sir. Yeah, the sunscreens will affix, whether it's through zip ties or actual bands. And in the design that you see in front of you, we've got another bar that's just elevated that they will fasten to the front and to the rear, and we'll remove them seasonally.
And to follow up on that, I was curious also, the sunshades, Director Hardy, so that's going to be covering a portion of where our spectators are sitting, correct?
Correct. If you see
Right.
on this particular design here, the dugout itself, we would run them from the entrance all the way to the end of the dugout, primarily to where whatever point you're at underneath of that structure, you'll be provided shade.
Okay. I think that's fantastic. That really helps our, typically it's parents and grandparents that are out watching their kids play. And, you know, I think there's nothing worse than having the sun beat down on you when you're trying to watch any kind of athletic event. So
Yeah, and
I
for
think
those
it's a great
that have been-
idea.
For those that have been to the complex, I believe Supervisor Brown has been out there, and I believe Supervisor Bates as well. Current Little League operations are to fabricate those wind screens over, which creates some challenges because then the height of the dugout is super low. And this, just from an aesthetics purpose, it does not look very, very appealing. So within this process, it'll give us a fixed structure that doesn't impact the egress of the dugouts themselves and provide overall safety and security for our players.
Mr. Hardy, I've been thinking about this ever since you brought it to us the first time, because I thought it was crazy to think that we were going to spend $600,000 on fencing. Long Fence is obviously one of the most expensive fence companies out there, if you've ever had to price them in comparison. So I have a little bit of heartburn with all that, but I did talk to Mr. Settle because I am out there weekly. It seems like spring and fall with fall ball. He pointed out to me that he thought it was crazy as well. He said that there were several posts that needed to be, anchored up a little bit, but overall the fencing wasn't bad at all. He said his biggest concern was safety. The safety being the senior field, which I believe is the softball field and the 16 maybe.
Correct.
And of course, that is where you get where the older kids are hitting, and they're going to hit with more force, and that ball comes off of that bat, and especially with the bats that we have today. So there is a true liability issue there.
Correct.
He had suggested extending those poles up, doing the netting and go on, which would be a fraction of the cost. And I think they were willing to help with some of that with the Little League.
Correct.
Is there a way that we might be able to work with Mr. Settle and that group to eliminate the liability and the safety issue for now under the budget? I mean, if we're taking money from Lynn Park, but then you're going to have to come back and ask for twice as much to do the bathrooms eventually, right?
Not twice as much currently. I believe it was just over $100,000 that we were short at Lynn for
Okay.
it. We definitely could engage Culpeper Little League, but the desire for this particular project is a permanent fix that we're not going to have to cycle back around to in 20 years. The netting that they mentioned is a temporary solution, but at the end of the day, we still can't argue that the galvanized fencing out there is 20 years old. There are several bent poles. The gates themselves, many of them don't hang on the entrances clearly. That beyond the safety, there's other concerns just universally on all the ball fields up there.
Oh, and I know the bleachers are bad. But that's why a lot of us will bring chairs and we bring our umbrellas. And I just have a little, under our current budget and knowing that we're going to have to do the bathrooms too, I hate to rob Peter to pay Paul, so to speak. Just some thoughts.
Other thoughts or questions from the committee? So Mr. Hardy, you are requesting a reallocation of CIP funds for this project, correct?
This would be correct. Yes, sir.
All right, so we would need to move that to the full board for approval. Is that correct, Mr. Chairman? Chairman Underwood?
I believe, well, the committee, as far as I understand our board rules, and you got a parliamentarian next to you, but as far as I understand our board rules, you can do nothing. You can move it to the board without recommendation, or you can move it to the board with recommendation.
Right, exactly. Okay. All right, so what is the pleasure of the committee? Personally, I believe that that we could move this forward to the full board for discussion. That's just my thinking. What is the pleasure of the committee?
We just discussed the same thing and feel the same way. Bring it before the board.
Okay. All right. Would you like to make that in the form of a motion, Supervisor Farish?
Make a motion to bring this item to the full board for discussion without a recommendation.
Good. Is there a second?
Second.
All right. All those in favor, there's a motion and a second. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Thank you, guys.
None opposed. Thank you, Director Hardy. All right. Item B, the committee will discuss the prospect of acquiring a new industrial washer and dryer for the Culpeper County Animal Shelter. And we have with us Mr.
Roberson here is the
Roberson.
new director of animal services.
Right.
Will
I didn't-
present on this item.
I had forgotten the name, so thank you.
And just a reminder for the committee, this is an item that came out of last Tuesday's board meeting.
Yes, sir.
So we've just been trying to get some
Right.
information together last minute on this. This is really just a discussion with no real ask at this time.
All right. So I would like to recommend that we find replacements for our current washer and dryer. They are designed for residential use only, and we kind of operate on a more commercial level and just the amount of laundry that we do every single year. Our washer and dryer are currently running approximately 8 hours a day, 7 days a week, equating to nearly 3,000 operating hours a year when they were designed for specifically around 200 to 300 a year in a typical residential household of like 4 to 6 hours a week. Um, Laundry is not a secondary function in the animal shelter. It is essential to animal care. Clean bedding, towels, kennel materials are required every day to maintain sanitation, reduce disease risk, and provide a safe environment for the animals in our care. When our equipment is down, it creates delays, increases staff and volunteer workload, and impacts our ability to maintain normal operations. The proposed commercial washer and dryers will provide measurable efficiency improvements. The LG Titan washer increases capacity from 4.7 cubic feet to 5.2 cubic feet, providing approximately 11% more capacity per load. It also increases extraction speed from 750 rotations per minute to 980 rotations per minute, which is a 31% increase in spin speed, allowing more water to be removed before it is transferred to the dryer. This reduces the dryer workload, shortens drying times, and lowers electricity consumption and decreases wear on both of the machines. The LG washer provides faster cycle operation compared with the current washer. Cycle times are expected to decrease by approximately 30% or more, depending on the selected cycle. Over the course of hundreds of loads each year, this translates to significant time savings and efficiency. Additionally, the LG Titan washer uses approximately 20% less water per load, which would save an estimated 15,000 gallons of water or more based on current shelter usage. The dryer provides similar operational advantages, increasing drying capacity by approximately 38%, allowing more bedding and towels to be processed per load. The dryer's commercial moisture sensing technology helps prevent unnecessary drying time and reducing energy use by approximately 10% or more. So I did reach out to Pack Industries, and they did come by to see what we were working with, and the papers that I've handed you were their recommendation for the workloads that we have and the current setups that we have there. It would not require any additional electrical advances or changes in the way that our hookups are. They said it would be a simple plug and play, just a quick swap in and out of the two materials. The proposed price would be for $9,159.89. That would include delivery, installation, and removal of the previous machines, unless we have another use for them somewhere else in the county. Looking at my end of the year budget last year, there was approximately $5,000 left in the laundry/housekeeping supplies line item. For this purchase, I would be asking for a budget amendment of an additional $5,000 into this line item to completely cover the cost and ensure there is enough to cover typical yearly costs that come after that. This is an investment in the infrastructure that supports our mission. Upgrading to commercial laundry equipment will improve efficiency, reduce operating costs, and ensure we can continue providing the clean, safe environment our animals need. So just a brief thing. Do you guys have any questions?
All right. Thank you, Mr. Roberson. Questions, comments from the committee?
How many units are you actually getting?
It would be one of each. So one dryer and one washer.
So why is delivery of 5 washers on the end there, 2,200? Says quantity 1, but delivery 5 washers.
So that I'm not entirely too sure. I do know it is just delivery of one washer and one dryer.
Other questions from the committee?
Just to clarify the request, if the committee is interested in this acquisition, Kyle and I can come back to the committee next month with an actual defined budget transfer and plan for funding, contract, et cetera, vendor. This is really just to put it before the committee, the requirement to see whether it's something you want us to look into.
I think judging from the presentation by your volunteer from last week's meeting, I think it definitely is something that we need to look into and hopefully be able to purchase to assist the great work that you guys do out there. What is the pleasure of the committee?
I agree with Supervisor Brown, it just seems like we could send a truck over the mountain to Harrisonburg, pick up these units, bring them back for $2,200. Just seems extreme. Maybe that's the farmer in me, but it just seems very excessive. Other than that, it seems like a good investment.
All right, so the committee can direct our interim county administrator to come back to us next month with more information. And was there a reason why Pack Industries was the only vendor that you contacted?
They actually came to us. They had previously been in contact with David Means over in Environmental Services before I started, and then he came in one day just to follow up to see where we were. And so I went ahead and asked him for potential price quotes and stuff while he was there.
Okay.
And then he got it all back to me.
I mean, I think it makes sense that maybe we contact several other vendors and see what other prices we can find from them.
I agree. I just thought that this would be
Yeah.
a good baseline to kind of show what we were working with price-wise. So.
Okay. All right. So it's the consensus of the committee that our county administrator, Mr. Roberson, will come back to us next month with more information.
Yes,
To
I'd
hopefully
like
move
that.
forward?
A little more detail on that. And
Yeah.
in the meantime, I know they asked about a solar dryer. What are y'all thoughts on that? Is that something that you would permit him to go ahead and do in the rear maybe and let them start using a solar dryer since the solar's working so well right now?
I would absolutely support that, Supervisor Brown. Yes, ma'am. We could probably have that done in kind with our own staff, could we not? Mr. McCrum?
Absolutely. We'll look into it.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you for your time.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Roberson. All right, we're down to closed session, and Supervisor Brown, you will read the motion to lead us into closed session, please.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I move that we enter into closed meeting as permitted by the Virginia Freedom of Information Act for the following purpose. It's the discussion of plans to protect public safety and briefings by staff members, legal counsel, or law enforcement or emergency services officials concerning actions taken to respond to the threat to the public safety, discussions of information subject to the exclusion of subdivision 2 or 14 of 2.2-3705.2 of the Code of Virginia, whereas discussion in an open meeting would jeopardize the safety of any person or the security of any facility, building, or structure, and the discussion of reports or plans related to the security of a governmental facility, building, or structure, and the safety of persons using it, specifically the security of the Culpeper County Courthouse and the Culpeper County Jail as authorized by 2.2-3711A19 of the Code of Virginia.
All right, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, we are in closed session. Thank you. Wait.
I'm so sorry. Lawfully accepted the open meeting requirements under the Virginia Freedom of Information Act, and as identified in the motion, that which the closed meeting was convened or heard, discussed, or considered by the committee in the closed meeting. If any member believes that the committee varied from the purpose for which the closed meeting was held, he or she must state so and why prior to casting a vote. Supervisor Brown? Supervisor Parrish? Yes. Chairman?
Yes.
Thank you.
And I think that's all we have for buildings and grounds. Your motion to adjourn. All right, we are adjourned.